Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of your body sinking into the surface beneath you. Your breath slows, the room quiets, and somewhere in that softness, a question drifts in like a whisper. What if time travelers are already here? Not in machines that hum and glow, but in people, in memories, in you. I'm curious, where are you listening from tonight? Is your room dark and quiet, or lit by a soft glow? Wherever you are, we're sharing this small moment beneath the same turning sky. If this story brings you a bit of peace, a gentle like, subscribe, or comment, lets me know you're here listening between the seconds. So let's begin softly. Are time travelers already among us? Picture Kennedy, Space Center, 2015. Morning light spills across the launch pad, warm and golden. Two men stand side by side. If you didn't know better, you'd think you were seeing double. Same height, same build, same smile that crinkles the corners of their eyes. They even share the same DNA written into every cell, every molecule. Scott Kelly and Mark Kelly, twin brothers, both astronauts, both about to prove something strange about the universe. In a few hours, one of them will leave Earth, and when he returns, they will no longer be the same age. Scott climbs the metal stairs. Each step clangs softly under his boots. At the top, he turns, waves, a small gesture easy, like he's just heading to the store. Mark stands below, watching. He waves back. They don't know it yet, but this is goodbye to something they've carried their whole lives. Goodbye to being perfectly synchronized. Goodbye to sharing every heartbeat, every breath, every second, since the moment they were born. The engines ignite. Fire blooms beneath the rocket. Thunder rolls across the flat Florida landscape. The rocket lifts slowly at first, then faster, tearing away from gravity's embrace. It becomes a bright streak against the blue, then a point of light, then nothing, and Scott enters a different kind of life. The International Space Station orbits Earth at 17,000 miles per hour, faster than bullets, faster than the speed of sound, faster than anything you've ever experienced while feeling still. Every 90 minutes, Scott completes one full circle around the planet. Think about that for a moment. 90 minutes, one orbit. He sees 16 sunrises every single day. 16 times darkness gives way to light. 16 times the sun creeps over Earth's curved edge, spilling gold and orange across clouds and oceans. While you sleep through one night, Scott watches the world turn beneath him again and again. And at that speed, something invisible happens. Something Einstein predicted a century ago, but that still feels like a whisper from a dream. Time slows down for Scott. Not in his experience. To him, nothing feels different. His heart beats normally. His thoughts arrive in their usual rhythm. His hands move as they always have. But compared to Mark's time, compared to Earth's time, Scott's seconds stretch. They last just a little bit longer. It's Einstein's gentle gift. When you move fast, the universe lets you borrow time. But why? Why does speed change time itself? Think of time and space, not as separate things, but as one fabric. Space-time, smooth, flexible, stretched across the cosmos. When you move through space, you pull on that fabric. The faster you move, the more you stretch it. And time has to stretch too, to make room for your motion. It's like the universe is saying, you can move fast, but you'll trade your speed for seconds. You can rush through space, but time will slow to balance it out. Imagine two boats on a river. One floats gently, drifting with the current. The other rows upstream, fighting the flow with every stroke. The rowing boat works harder, burns more energy, and strangely, time itself flows slower for the one in motion. That's what Scott is doing up there, circling Earth, swimming against time's current, and time, ever patient, slows down for him. Nearly a year passes this way. Scott floats through the station, conducts experiments, watches Earth spin below him, blue and green and impossibly beautiful, talks to Mark over video calls, both of them laughing, catching up, pretending the distance doesn't ache. Then one day, it's time to come home. The capsule detaches from the station, fires its engines, falls toward Earth in a controlled plummet. The atmosphere grabs it, slows it with friction that turns the capsule's underside white hot. Fire streaks across the sky. It lands in the Kazakhstan desert with a heavy thud. Dust rises. The hatch opens. Scott emerges, blinking in the sunlight, his legs trembling. Gravity feels impossibly strong after months of floating. Mark is there. He rushes forward. They embrace, laughing, two brothers reunited. The cameras flash. Everyone cheers. But something has changed. Something no one can see with their eyes. The atomic clocks measured it. Those perfect, unforgiving instruments that count time in billionths of a second. They don't lie. They can't. And they confirmed it. Scott lived slower than Mark, only by milliseconds. A few millionths of a second over the entire year. But real, measurable, undeniable. Scott is younger now, not by days or hours, but by heartbeats, by the whisper-thin difference that comes from moving fast while someone else stays still. He traveled forward into Mark's future. Mark stayed in the past. They stand together now, these two men, born from the same womb, delivered seconds apart, raised in the same house, same schools, same dreams. For decades, they lived in perfect parallel. And now, one has lived fewer moments than the other. Which one is the time traveler? Both. And neither, because we're all moving through time always, just at different speeds. What does it mean to be younger by microseconds? Does it really matter? To the clocks? Yes. To their hearts? Maybe not. But it proves something beautiful and strange. Something the universe has been trying to tell us since the beginning. Time is not the same for everyone, not even for twins born seconds apart. You've felt this too, haven't you? Times when hours vanished like water slipping through your fingers, or minutes that stretched so long they felt like hours. You were traveling through your own time, moving at your own pace through the universe's quiet river. But Scott and Mark aren't alone in this. There are others who leave time behind, not by flying up into speed and stars, but by sinking down into the deepest, darkest places on Earth. Let's follow one of them now. Now we go the other direction, not up but down into darkness and crushing pressure, where another kind of time travel waits. James Cameron sits alone in a tiny submarine. Yes, that James Cameron, the one who made Titanic, who told stories of the ocean's mysteries on film. But right now, he's not making a movie. He's living one. He's descending into the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth. The light fades quickly as he sinks. Blue becomes gray, becomes a darkness so complete it feels alive. The ocean presses harder with every meter. Not just water weight, the weight of 11 kilometers of ocean settling onto his tiny capsule, like the entire world pressing down. But he keeps going, down, into a place where sunlight has never reached, where the pressure would crush a human body instantly, where only the smallest, strangest creatures have learned to survive. After hours of descent, the submarine touches bottom. He feels the soft bump through the hull, 11 kilometers below the surface, deeper than Everest is tall. If you could flip that mountain upside down and drop it into this trench, its peak wouldn't even reach the surface. Down here in this absolute darkness, James sits in his tiny capsule, and time moves differently, not because of the water, not because of the dark, but because of gravity's gentle hand pulling on time itself. He's closer to Earth's center here than anyone on the surface, just a little bit closer, and that matters. Gravity is stronger down here, not by much, but enough. And when gravity grows strong, time slows down. Remember that fabric of space-time, the one that stretches when you move fast? Well, it also bends under weight, under mass. Earth is heavy, so it creates a dip in space-time, like placing a bowling ball on a stretched bedsheet. The fabric sags, and down here in the deepest part of that sag, time flows thicker, heavier. It's like walking in a valley versus standing on a hilltop. In the valley, time is honey, slow, viscous, clinging to every moment. On the hill, time is water, quick light flowing freely without resistance. Above him, far above, where sunlight dances on waves, a ship waits. People on board check their watches, count the minutes, wonder if he's okay down there. They exist in faster time, but James, surrounded by darkness and pressure and the strange stillness of the deep, exists in slower seconds, not by much, just a whisper of difference, but enough that if you could measure it perfectly, and weaken he has aged less than those waiting above. He sits in that cabin, looking out the window into nothing, pure black. No sound except the hum of life support. No light except the small glow of his instruments. Just him and time moving at its own unhurried pace. In this moment, he is more alone than almost any human has ever been, and he is living in a different second than anyone else on Earth. Hours pass. Then the submarine begins its long climb back. Slowly, slowly light returns. First a dark gray, then blue, then finally brilliantly sun, golden and warm and alive. He surfaces, breathes air that doesn't taste like recycled metal, sees the sky again, impossibly vast. But he's left something down there, a few tiny moments, borrowed by the deep, where time moves slow. Have you noticed this? How time feels different in deep places, in caves that wind into hillsides, in basements where sound gets muffled, in tunnels that run beneath cities. Maybe your body senses what physics confirms, that depth is not just distance, it's time made heavy. So, time travelers don't just fly through space, do they? They also dive into oceans. They sink into gravity's embrace, and when they return to the surface, they bring back younger seconds, borrowed from the deep. But you don't need to dive 11 kilometers down to feel time change. You don't need a submarine or years of training. Time changes even in the space between your head and your feet. It changes on mountaintops where monks sit in silence seeking something eternal. Let's visit them now. There are others who travel through time, not by moving fast like Scott, not by diving deep like James, but by staying perfectly still in the highest places on Earth. Somewhere in the Himalayas, a monastery clings to a mountainside. Stone walls, ancient and weathered. Prayer flags snap in the thin wind, their colors faded by sun and snow. The air here is so thin that every breath feels incomplete, like you can't quite fill your lungs. and it's so high that clouds don't hover above, they drift past at eye level, close enough to touch. Here in this thin air and cold silence lives an old monk. He has been here his entire life, decades spent in this place where earth meets sky. He wakes before dawn when the world is still blue dark, lights candles, sits in meditation while incense smoke curls upward, listens to temple bells echo across the peaks. He seeks enlightenment, escape from the wheel of time, freedom from birth and death, and the endless cycle of moments. He wants to find the eternal, now the place beyond time. But time, ironically, has a secret it's keeping from him. Up here on this mountain peak, far from Earth's center, gravity is weaker. Not by much, you wouldn't feel it, but physics feels it. And when gravity weakens, time flows faster. Every breath he takes ages him slightly more quickly than someone living at sea level. Remember the fabric of space-time sagging under Earth's weight? Down in the valleys, in the deep trenches, the fabric is curved deeply. Time moves slow there. But up here, the monk is far from that deepest curve. The fabric is flatter. Time loosens its grip, flows more freely. It's like climbing out of honey, back into water. Same substance time, but different flow. So, while the monk sits in meditation, seeking to stop time to transcend it, the universe plays a gentle joke. By climbing higher to escape time, he only makes it rush faster. His eternal now is actually speeding ahead, racing past the time lived by people in the valleys below. His mind slows in meditation, but his body speeds through time, which is more real. Would he care if he knew that his quest to find timelessness happens in time that's moving faster than normal? Maybe it wouldn't matter to him. Maybe the paradox is exactly the point. Maybe wisdom means accepting that you can't escape time. You can only change your relationship with it. And you, right now, lying there head on your pillow feet at the other end of the bed, your head is farther from Earth's center than your feet, just by a meter or two. But that tiny distance means your head is in slightly weaker gravity. So, time flows faster at your head than at your toes. You are a gradient of time. From head to toe, you live in different seconds. Not by much. Never by much. The difference is so small, you'd never feel it. But it's enough that the universe notices. Enough that physics can measure it with atomic clocks. You're not a single point frozen in time. You're a soft slope of moments, each part of you, aging at its own quiet pace. So time travelers are everywhere, aren't they? In the sky, in the deep, in the high places where monks meditate and clouds drift past like dreams. And some of them are so small, you'd never see them with your eyes. But they prove the rule is real. They prove time bends, always. So far we've watched people travel through time, astronauts, divers, monks. But let's go smaller now, much smaller. Smaller than people, smaller than cells, smaller than anything you can see. Into the realm of particles, where time travel happens every single second. Right above your head, there's a particle called a muon. Strange name, isn't it? Sounds like something from a dream. But muons are real, and they're born high in the atmosphere, about 15 kilometers up, where the air is so thin it barely exists. They're created when cosmic rays, high energy particles, from the sun, from distant stars, from supernovas that exploded before Earth even existed, slam into air molecules. The collision is violent, energetic, and in that moment of impact, muons appear. Tiny, invisible, fleeting. Muons don't live long. In fact, they barely exist at all. From the moment they're born to the moment they decay into other particles, only 2 millionths of a second pass. That's it. Shorter than a heartbeat. Shorter than a blink. Shorter than the time it takes light to travel the length of a football field. And yet muons are a problem. Or rather, they should be a problem. You see, they're born 15 kilometers up, and they have to travel all that distance to reach the ground, to reach the detectors scientists place at sea level. But even moving at nearly the speed of light, and muons do move that fast, they shouldn't make it. Do the math. Even at that incredible speed, it would take them longer to reach the ground than their lifespan allows. They should decay halfway down. They should disappear, wink out of existence somewhere in the middle atmosphere, never reaching us. But they do reach us. Scientists detect them all the time, thousands of them, passing through the detectors, through the buildings, through your body right now, as you lie there. You can't feel them, but they're there. How? Because muons are time travelers. They move so fast, so close to the speed of light, that time slows down for them. From our perspective, watching from the ground, the muon lives longer than it should. It survives the journey because its clock is running slow. From the muon's perspective, if a particle could have a perspective, the distance to the ground is shorter. Space itself contracts when you move that fast. Both are true. Both happen simultaneously. The muon experiences a shorter journey. We experience a longer-lived particle. Different perspectives, same physics. Think of a butterfly that lives for only one day, just 24 hours from birth to death. Now, imagine that butterfly could fly fast enough, impossibly fast, near light speed. To us, watching that butterfly would seem to live for a week. It wouldn't age faster or slower in its own experience. To the butterfly, it still lives one day, one lifetime, but to us, time has stretched around it. We watch it flutter through 7 sunrises when it should have seen only one. That's the muon, living longer than it should, simply by moving fast. This isn't theory anymore. It's not speculation or mathematical games played on chalkboards. This is real, measurable, repeatable. Muons prove it every second. Time dilation isn't something that only happens in thought experiments or science fiction. It's happening right now constantly, in the sky above you. And here's something even stranger, something that might make you pause and wonder. You are made of particles. Every atom in your body, the carbon in your cells, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, all of them were once travelers too. They were born in the heart of dying stars, forged in temperatures so extreme that matter itself melted and reformed. Then those stars exploded supernovas that lit up galaxies, and your atoms were flung outward, scattered across space at unimaginable speeds. For millions of years they traveled, and as they traveled fast through the cosmos, time slowed for them too, just like the muons. Just like Scott Kelly, each atom experienced time differently than the universe around it. Eventually they slowed down, gathered into clouds of dust, collapsed into a new star, our sun, spun into planets, drifted into oceans, became part of plants, animals, eventually you. You are assembled from ancient time travelers. Every piece of you once flew through time's gentle curve, borrowing seconds from the universe, arriving here after a journey that bent space and time both. So time travel isn't science fiction, is it? It happens in particles too small to see. It happens in people And it even happens in the machines we built. Machines that orbit above us right now, quiet and patient, helping us find our way home. Let's visit them. You carry time travelers in your pocket. Right now. This moment. Above your head, 20,000 kilometers up, dozens of satellites circle Earth in perfect choreography. Small machines, no bigger than cars, floating in the silence of space. They don't make sound up there. No air to carry vibrations. Just quiet machines orbiting in the dark. These are GPS satellites. And they help you find your way. They tell your phone where you are, which street, which building, sometimes which room. Accurate to within meters. It feels like magic. But it's just mathematics and signals traveling at the speed of light. But here's what most people don't know. For GPS to work, those satellites have to account for time travelers. Because the satellites themselves are time travelers. They exist in different time than you do. Two things happen to those satellites, and they pull time in opposite directions. First, they're moving fast. Not as fast as moons, not nearly as fast as light, but fast enough. They orbit Earth at about 14,000 kilometers per hour. And just like Scott Kelly, just like the muons that speed makes their clocks run slower. Time dilation from velocity, Einstein's special relativity. But second, they're high up, far from Earth's center where gravity is weaker. And weak gravity makes time run faster. Remember, like the monk on the mountain, Einstein's general relativity. So the satellites experience both effects at once. Speed pulls their time backward. Height pushes it forward. They're caught between two opposing forces dancing in the middle. If we didn't account for this, GPS would fail. Completely. The clocks on the satellites would drift out of sync with clocks on Earth. And since GPS works by measuring the time it takes signals to travel from satellites to your phone, even a tiny timing error creates huge position errors. Within days, GPS would be off by kilometers. Your map would show you on the wrong street in the wrong neighborhood. Ships would get lost at sea. Planes couldn't navigate. The whole system would collapse. Not because the machines failed, but because time is different up there. So, engineers adjust the satellite clocks before launch. They make them run at a different rate than Earth clocks. Wrong on the ground, but right in orbit. When the satellites reach space and start experiencing their strange mix of time dilation, the clocks sync up perfectly with ours. We have to lie to the clocks so they can tell us the truth. Think about that for a moment. Every time you open a map on your phone, every time you ask for directions home, every time you check your location while hiking or driving or simply wandering, you're relying on time travelers, machines that live in different seconds than you, engineers who learned to translate between timelines, signals that carry not just information, but the subtle fingerprints of bent space-time. The satellites don't know they're time traveling. They can't know. They're just machines, solar panels, antennas, atomic clocks ticking away in the silence. But every signal they send carries the mark of their journey, a whisper from a different, when translated back into your now. And maybe that's the most profound thing. Even machines become time travelers, not because we programmed them to, not because we wanted them to, but simply because they exist in places where time flows differently. The universe doesn't care if you're human, or satellite conscious, or machine. The rules apply to everything everywhere always. Time bends for all of us. So now we've met the physics travelers, the astronauts who flew fast, the divers who sank deep, the monks who climbed high, the particles too small to see, and the satellites forever watching from above. All of them living in time's gentle curves. All of them proving the same beautiful, strange truth. Time is not the same for everyone, but physics is only one way to travel through time, isn't it? There's another way, quieter, stranger, hidden not in equations or orbits, but in something closer, something you carry inside you. It doesn't require speed. It doesn't require altitude or depth or machines. It only requires a body that ages differently depending on where it lives, how it breathes, what it experiences. Let's meet them now. The biological travelers, the ones whose cells count time in their own rhythm, writing their own clocks into flesh and bone. Remember Scott and Mark Kelly, the astronaut twins we met before. Let's return to them for a moment, not to talk about physics this time, not about velocity or orbital mechanics, but about something that happened beneath their skin, something even stranger than relativistic time dilation, something that changed them at the level of who they are. When Scott returned to Earth, after his year in space, the scientists were waiting, not just with atomic clocks, but with needles and vials and quiet curiosity. You see, they had before them something impossibly rare. Two humans, identical in nearly every way, who had lived in fundamentally different environments. Same DNA, same childhood, same training. But one had floated in a metal tube circling Earth 16 times a day, while the other walked on solid ground, slept in a bed that didn't float, breathed air that wasn't recycled through machines. What if we looked deeper than clocks? They asked. What if we looked at the very instructions written in their cells? And so, they took samples, blood drawn in the morning light, skin cells collected, saliva, hair, the intimate inventory of a body's story written in molecules too small to see, and they found something beautiful and unsettling. Scott had changed, not just in the way all bodies change, growing older, accumulating tiny damages and repairs, but in a way that Mark hadn't. His gene expression had shifted. Think of genes like light switches throughout your body. Some turned on telling cells to build proteins, to repair, to grow. Others turned off, keeping certain processes quiet. When Scott went to space, some of his switches flipped. Genes that should have been quiet became loud. Genes that should have been active went silent. His body was adapting, rewriting its own instruction manual, in real time responding to weightlessness, to radiation, to the strange environment of the station. It's like his cells learned a new language. One researcher said, softly staring at the data, the language of space. And when he returned some of those words, he kept speaking them. His immune system had changed, become more vigilant, more reactive. The telomeres, those protective caps at the ends of chromosomes that shorten with age, had lengthened in space, then crashed shorter when he returned. His body's relationship with inflammation shifted. Even the way his cells produced energy changed. Mark's body, meanwhile, stayed relatively constant. The same switches in roughly the same positions. His cells speaking the familiar dialect of Earth. Two men, same birthday, same parents, same genetic blueprint. But now, written into their biology, were two different stories of time. Which Scott is the real Scott, you might ask? The one who left, or the one who returned his cells can't quite agree anymore. Some remember Earth, some remember space. He is both men now and neither. A biological paradox walking and breathing. This is the secret that physics alone couldn't tell us. Time isn't just measured in seconds and clocks, it's written into the body. Every environment you inhabit, every breath you take, every stress and rest and moment your body listens. It adjusts its clocks accordingly. Scott and Mark are still twins, still bound by DNA and history, but they are twins who lived in different times, not just by microseconds of relativity, but by the deeper clock of biology. One body aged in the gentle gravity of home, the other aged in the strange absence of weight, bombarded by radiation, breathing recycled air. And their bodies remember. Even now, years later, there are differences that haven't resolved. Markers in the blood, patterns in how genes turn on and off. It's subtle, quiet, but it's there, written in invisible ink across every cell. You might wonder, does it matter? If the difference is microscopic, does it change who they are? Maybe not to them. They laugh together, share memories, live their lives. But to the universe, to the careful accounting of biology, it matters because it proves something profound. Your body is not a passive clock that ticks at a universal rate. Your body is a storyteller, and the story it tells depends on where it's been, what it's experienced, how it's lived. Change the environment, and you change the story. Change the story, and you change the time written into your cells. So Scott became a time traveler twice over, once through physics, living microseconds slower in orbit, and once through biology, his cells rewriting themselves into a rhythm no one on Earth was keeping. Two kinds of time, both real, both inscribed into him. But you don't need to go to space to experience this, do you? Your body is rewriting itself right now, responding to where you are, what you're doing, how you're living. Let's go somewhere else. Somewhere high and thin and breathless, where people have learned to exist in air that shouldn't sustain them. There's a city in the clouds. Well, not truly in the clouds, but close enough that clouds sometimes drift through its streets like lost travelers. La Rinconada, Peru, the highest permanent human settlement on Earth, 5,000 meters above the sea, so high that your body accustomed to lowland comfort would gasp and struggle, so high that every breath brings only half the oxygen it should. And yet 50,000 people live here, work here, raise children here, in air that feels like drowning on land. How their bodies learned a different way to count time. Imagine a woman named Rosa, born in these mountains, who has never known what it's like to breathe easily at sea level. From her first breath, her body understood oxygen is precious here. You must work for every molecule. So her body adapted, not through conscious choice, but through the quiet brilliance of biology rewriting itself to survive. Her lungs grew larger than yours. Her chest expanded wider to hold more air with each breath. Her blood became thick with red blood cells, millions, more than someone born at sea level, each one a tiny courier carrying oxygen to tissues that hunger for it. Her heart beats differently, faster at rest than yours, a drum that never quite slows, always working, always pushing blood and oxygen through veins and arteries in a rhythm you'd find exhausting. Even her mitochondria, those tiny engines inside every cell that burn fuel to make energy, work differently. They learned to function efficiently in low oxygen like motors tuned for high altitude performance. Rosa is the same species as you, but her body keeps a different biological time. Her cells divide to a faster metronome. Her metabolism runs its own unique tempo. Her sleep is lighter, more fractured, because her body never fully relaxes in air this thin. When she descends to the lowlands to visit family in Lima, perhaps near the ocean, where air is thick and rich, something strange happens. The world feels heavy. Too much oxygen floods her system. Her head spins. Her heart still beating. Its mountain rhythm finds the lowland air almost oppressive. It's too much, she says, breathing deeply, feeling dizzy. How do you live like this? To her, the normal world feels alien. Her body calibrated for scarcity, overwhelmed by abundance. And here's the paradox. While she lives at an altitude where physics says time flows slightly faster, remember the monks farther from Earth's center, her biology ages differently. Her heart works harder, beats more often. Over a lifetime, those extra millions of heartbeats accumulate. Does she age faster? Slower? The answer isn't simple. Her cells face more oxidative stress from the constant work of surviving. But they're also tougher, more resilient, adapted to hardship. Two clocks ticking in different directions. Physics pulling one way, biology pushing another. And Rosa exists in the tension between them. Her body, a compromise between competing timelines. Think of two children born on the same day, one in La Rinconada, one in Amsterdam at sea level. Same calendar age, same number of trips around the sun, but their hearts, their cells, the very rhythm of their metabolism, completely different. The Amsterdam child's heart beats 70 times per minute. The Highland child's 90. Over 1 year, that's 10 million extra heartbeats. Over a lifetime, hundreds of millions more. The Highland child's body counts time in a faster percussion, a quicker tempo. But faster doesn't mean shorter. Because the Highland body is efficient, economical, built for endurance, it learned not to waste. Every breath measured, every heartbeat purposeful. Who lives longer? Who experiences more time? The data doesn't give us easy answers. Some Highland populations show remarkable longevity. Others face challenges from the constant stress. The body's relationship with time is too complex for simple equations. What's clear is this altitude changes you, not just where you live, but how your body lives. The biological clock inside you, written in cell division, heartbeat, breath calibrates itself to the environment. Move to the mountains, and given enough time, your descendants will keep different time than your cousins in the valley. Rosa stands on a street in La Rinconada, breathing air that would leave you gasping. She looks up at stars that seem close enough to touch in air, so clear it feels like you could reach through space itself. And she couldn't know that every cell in her body is a testament to time's flexibility. She is a biological time traveler, not moving through seconds differently, but aging through them differently. Her body writing its own story of time in a language only molecules can read. But if altitude changes biology's clock, what about its opposite? What happens when someone goes not up, but down, deep down, where pressure builds and light fades and the world becomes something else entirely? There's a hospital room in Sweden, quiet, clean, sterile in the way hospitals are, with that particular quality of light that never quite feels like day or night. And in the bed, a girl sleeps. She has been sleeping for 17 months. Not in a coma, her brain shows activity, Her body maintains itself, not sedated. No drugs keep her under. She simply sleeps, profoundly, absolutely. A sleep so deep it resembles a kind of biological time travel, where consciousness stops counting and the body continues alone. Her name hasn't been released to protect her privacy, but her condition has a name: resignation syndrome. It affects refugee children, mostly who have experienced trauma so profound that their minds choose an extraordinary escape. They go to sleep and they don't wake up, not for weeks, sometimes months, sometimes, like this girl, years. The doctors monitor her carefully. They feed her through tubes, move her limbs to prevent atrophy speak to her, though she gives no sign of hearing. Her parents sit beside her every day, holding her hand, telling her stories, begging her to return. But she is somewhere else, somewhere time doesn't reach her. Her body ages slowly, minimally, but it ages. Cells divide, hair grows, fingernails lengthen. But her consciousness, that seems to have stopped entirely. No dreams that the monitors can detect, no REM sleep patterns, just a vast empty quiet. Where does she go during those 17 months? That's the question that haunts everyone who knows her story. Time passes for her body, but does it pass for her? When she finally wakes, if she wakes, will those 17 months have existed for her at all? This is time theft on a biological scale. Not seconds borrowed by velocity or gravity, but entire months of subjective experience simply erased, deleted from the ledger of lived moments. Consider what it means her parents aged 17 months in the usual way, worry etching deeper lines, hope wearing thin and thick by turns. Her siblings grew, changed, moved through school years and birthdays. The world turned 17 times around the sun, but she closed her eyes one day when she was 12, and when she opens them again 2 years later, by the calendar, she will still be 12 in her mind. No memories of those months, no dreams archived, no experiences logged. It's as if someone reached into her timeline and cut out a section, not deleted from reality, but deleted from her subjective experience of reality. Her body was present, but she was not. Think about your own sleep. 8 hours perhaps each night. You close your eyes at 11, open them at 7. 8 hours have passed, and yet it feels like seconds. Sometimes you dream fragments of narrative emotion, strangeness, and those dreams give texture to the passage of time. You know you were gone, but not entirely absent. But dreamless sleep, deep, dreamless sleep, that's closer to what she experiences. That sensation of blinking, of continuity, broken of time folding over itself. You close your eyes and open them, and the world has moved forward without you noticing the gap. Now, extend that blink to 17 months. The neuroscientists study her brain patterns, searching for explanations. The brain, it seems, has a circuit breaker. When psychological distress becomes too severe, when the trauma is too much to process, it can do something extraordinary. It can turn itself off. Not completely. The autonomic systems keep running, breathing, and heartbeat and digestion continue. But consciousness, that part of you that experiences time passing, can be suspended. It's a protective mechanism taken to an extreme, like hibernation in animals, but triggered by the mind rather than the seasons. Bears sleep through winter, their metabolism slowing to a crawl time, becoming something thick and slow for them. They emerge months later, hungry and disoriented, having skipped winter entirely in their experience. She sleeps through trauma, her consciousness hibernating, waiting for safety that may or may not come. When she finally does wake slowly, gradually, her eyes fluttering open after 17 months, the doctors ask her questions, gentle questions. Where are you? What do you remember? Do you know how long you've been asleep? A few hours, she guesses confused. I'm so tired still. 17 months compressed to the feeling of a nap. Time stolen not by physics, but by the mind's desperate need to escape. She is a time traveler who went nowhere, who simply paused while the universe continued. There's something deeply unsettling about this, isn't there? The idea that consciousness, your sense of ongoing continuous existence, can be interrupted, that you could skip forward in time not by moving fast but by simply stopping, by letting your awareness hibernate while your body keeps its vigil. And yet, don't you do this every night in smaller ways? You lie down, you close your eyes, and for hours you're not quite present. Sometimes you dream those strange theaters of the sleeping mind. But sometimes there's nothing, just a gap, a discontinuity. You were here then, gone then, here again. Sleep is the time travel we never think about, the daily disappearance we take for granted. But what she experienced is that disappearance extended, stretched, time passing around her while she remained frozen. In a moment, consciousness paused, like a video, waiting to buffer. Perhaps this is mercy. Perhaps some moments are too heavy to live through, and the body knows how to skip them, to fast forward through unbearable now into a hopefully bearable future. Or perhaps it's tragedy, all those months unretrievable, unlived, lost, forever from the story of her life. Either way, she proves something profound. Time is not just what clocks measure, or what physics describes, or even what biology counts in heartbeats and cell divisions. Time is also what consciousness experiences, and consciousness, it turns out, can choose or be forced to stop experiencing it. She is the deepest sleeper, the one who fell out of time's river entirely and lay on the shore waiting while the current flowed past. But not everyone who travels through biological time goes to extremes. Some people don't skip time. They simply live it slower, so slow that years pass like gentle whispers, and the body forgets it's supposed to decline. In Okinawa, there's a woman who remembers the 19th century, not from history books, but from living it, from being there, a child, when Queen Victoria still reigned, when the world had no airplanes, no television, no atomic understanding of reality. Her name is Nabi Tajima, and she lived to be 117 years old, 117 trips around the sun, 117 winters and summers and springs and autumns, more than a century of heartbeats, breaths, moments. How? The simple answer, we don't know. Not really. Scientists study centenarians, like her people, who break through the invisible ceiling of normal human lifespan, searching for the secret. Is it genes, diet, attitude, luck? The complex answer, maybe her biological clock just ticks slower. Maybe her cells learned a gentler rhythm. Maybe time for her moves at a different tempo than for the rest of us. Let's imagine her morning. She wakes with the sun, not because an alarm demands it, but because her body knows its rhythm. No rushing, no urgency. She sits up slowly, joints protesting mildly, but obeying. Feet touch the floor. A moment to breathe. A moment to notice the quality of light through the window. Everything deliberate, everything measured. She eats simply rice, vegetables, tofu, fish sometimes, foods her grandmother would recognize, prepared the way they've been prepared for generations. Nothing processed, nothing rushed. She chews slowly, tasting each bite, letting her body process the nourishment. After breakfast, she moves, not exercise, in the frantic modern sense. No gym, no timer, no heart rate target, just movement. A walk through the garden, tending to plants, sweeping the floor, the quiet choreography of living that keeps joints supple and blood flowing, and then rest, not collapsing from exhaustion, but pausing when tired, sitting in the sun, closing her eyes, letting the body recover before asking more of it. This is her secret, perhaps. Not a secret she planned or even knows she keeps. The secret of moving through time without fighting it, of letting the body set the pace. Inside her cells, something remarkable happens, or rather, doesn't happen, at the usual rate. Remember, telomeres, those protective caps on chromosomes that shorten with each cell division, like a candle burning down. Hers shorten more slowly. Her cells divide more carefully. The machinery of aging runs but in slow motion. It's not that she doesn't age. Her skin shows the map of decades, wrinkles telling stories of smiles and sorrows. Her hair went white long ago. Her hands shake slightly. She's not young, will never be young again, but she ages gently, incrementally, as if time itself treats her with special care. Compare her to the modern world people, rushing through days, cramming schedules, full sleeping too little, stressing too much, hearts racing, cortisol flooding systems, the body in constant fight or flight mode. Hurry, the world says, there's not enough time, and the body listens. It speeds up its internal clocks to match. Cells divide faster, trying to keep up. Telomeres shorten more quickly. The biological clock accelerates. But Nabi's world never told her to hurry. Her island, her culture, her life unfolded at a human pace. The pace that bodies were designed for before electricity let us pretend night wasn't night, before technology let us compress more and more into less and less time. She lives slowly, and time in response lets her live longer. There are places like Okinawa scattered around the world. Sardinia, Ikaria, Nagoya, the blue zones. Researchers call them places where people routinely live past 100 with remarkable health and vitality. What do they share? Not genetics, they're different populations, different ancestries. Not medicine, many have limited access to modern healthcare. Not wealth, most live simply modestly. What they share is tempo, a slower metabolism of life. They walk more stress less. They eat together, laugh together. They have purpose but not pressure. They rest when tired, wake when ready. Their biological clocks tick to an older rhythm, the rhythm of seasons and sunlight, of communities and connection, not the frenetic modern pulse of productivity and optimization. And their bodies reward them for it, by lasting, by enduring, by keeping time more slowly and gently than the rest of us. Nabi lived 117 years, but perhaps she experienced more time than someone who lived only 80 years, rushing through every day. Because time isn't just duration, it's also density. How much you notice, how much you savor, how present you are for your own life. She was present every morning, every meal, every conversation. They're fully there, not racing ahead to the next thing. Maybe that's the real secret of biological time travel learning, to inhabit your moments completely, to let each heartbeat be a heartbeat, not a countdown to the next task. To let your body keep its own time rather than forcing it to match a world that doesn't care about human rhythms. She passed away eventually, of course. Everyone does. But she lived more time than her years suggest by moving through those years slowly enough to actually experience them. And maybe you can too, right now, this moment. Feel your breath slow. Feel your heartbeat settle. Feel time itself loosen around you. There, you just aged a little more slowly, just for this breath. But there's one more kind of biological time travel we haven't explored yet. The strangest kind. Not living longer or differently, but living in time that doesn't match what the calendar says. Where your experience of duration doesn't align with anyone else's. Where childhood lasts forever. Close your eyes, well, not literally right now, but in memory. Go back, way back, to when you were maybe 6 or 7 years old. Summer vacation, those endless golden weeks between school years. Remember how long those days felt, how one afternoon could contain entire universes, morning until lunch, an eternity. Lunch until dinner, another eternity. The space between bedtimes felt like crossing oceans. A summer vacation, just 2 or 3 months, felt longer than entire years do now, didn't it? Time moved differently then, slower, richer, more densely packed with experience. Why? Because you were a different kind of time traveler, a child moving through a world where everything was new, where every moment demanded attention, where time hadn't yet learned to collapse into routine. Think of your brain as a camera, constantly taking pictures. When you're a child, encountering the world for the first time, the camera never stops clicking. First time seeing a butterfly click. First time tasting strawberries click. First time feeling rain on your face click, click, click. The camera captures everything because everything matters. Everything is information your brain needs to survive and to understand. Your childhood memories are dense with images, sensations, moments. When you look back at those years, you have so much footage that the time seems to have lasted forever. The archive is full. But as you age, the camera becomes selective. You've seen butterflies before, no need to record. You know what strawberries taste like, skip that moment. Rain is familiar, ignore it. The camera stops clicking for familiar things. It only captures the novel, the unexpected, the emotionally significant. So your adult years, sparse documentation. When you look back, there are fewer images, fewer moments preserved. The time seems to have passed quickly because you weren't paying attention to most of it. A child lives in time that's photographed, frame by frame. An adult lives in time that's skipped over in long blurred stretches. But it's more than just memory density. Children actually process time differently, moment to moment. Studies show that children perceive more frames of reality per second than adults. Their brains process information more slowly, which sounds like a disadvantage, but creates a fascinating effect. Imagine 2 people watching a movie. One sees 30 frames per second. The other sees 60 frames per second. The person seeing 60 frames experiences the movie as smoother, more detailed, longer feeling. That's a child's experience of time higher frame rate reality. A second to a child contains more information, more processing, more experience than a second to an adult. Their subjective second is longer. Think of a little girl, maybe 5 years old, watching an ant crawl across a sidewalk. To her, this is epic. The ant's journey takes minutes-long important minutes filled with fascination. Every step the ant takes is noticed, recorded, significant. Her mother calls, "Come on, sweetie, we need to go." You've been watching that ant for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. To the girl, it feels like an hour. To the mother, it feels like 10 seconds. Same clock, different experiences of time. As we grow older, our biological clock speeds up, not just in how we remember time, but in how we experience it flowing. The days go faster, the years blur together, not because time itself changes, but because our perception of it does. There's even a mathematical pattern. Every year of your life feels proportionally shorter than the last because it's a smaller fraction of your total lived experience. When you're 5, 1 year is 20% of your entire life. It feels massive. When you're 51 year is 2% of your life. It feels like a blink. This is biological time travel in its purest psychological form. The same duration, the same hours and minutes and seconds experienced completely differently depending on how old you are, how familiar the experience is, how much attention you're paying. A child in summer vacation lives through 3 months that feel like years. An adult in routine lives through years that feel like months. Same planet, same orbit, same physics, different time. There's something bittersweet about this, isn't there? The knowledge that time speeds up as you age, that the leisurely pace of childhood gives way to the rushing blur of adulthood, that the biological clock inside you calibrates itself faster and faster. But here's the beautiful secret: you can slow it down again. Not permanently, perhaps not completely, but you can. The method is simple, though not easy. Pay attention, notice things, seek a novelty, do things you've never done, go places you've never been. When you break routine, when you force your brain's camera to start clicking again, time dilates. A vacation in a new place feels longer than the same duration at home in routine, because you're creating new memories, new images, new frames. When you learn something new, a language, an instrument, a skill, time slows down during that learning, because your brain is engaged processing, recording. Children are master time travelers, not because they have special powers, but because they haven't learned to filter the world yet. Everything is new. Everything demands attention. Everything gets recorded. You can't become a child again, but you can borrow their technique. Look at the world like it's the first time. Let yourself be surprised. Take the longer route. Notice the small things. Right now in this moment, notice the texture of whatever you're lying on, the temperature where your body meets the surface, the tiny sounds in the background you'd normally ignore, the specific quality of light or darkness around you. There, you just slowed time down, just a little, just for this moment. Because time is biological, it's counted not just in heartbeats and cell divisions, but in attention and novelty and presence. Your body is a clock, yes, but it's a clock that runs at different speeds, depending on how you live. So now we've met the biological travelers. Scott Kelly, whose genes rewrote themselves in space. Rosa, whose body learned to breathe in thin air. The girl who slept 17 months in a single moment. Nabi, who lived 117 years by living each day slowly. And the children moving through time that hasn't yet learned to rush. All of them proving biology is time. Your cells are calendars. Your consciousness is a clock and every body counts the seconds in its own unique rhythm, writing its own story in the language of heartbeats and breaths and notice moments. But there's another kind of time travel still, one that doesn't require physics or biology, one that happens entirely inside the mind. Let's go there now, into memory, into consciousness, into the strange territories where past and present blur, where some people live in multiple times at once, or get trapped in a single moment forever, or slip between moments, like smoke through fingers. The memory travelers are waiting, and their journeys are the strangest of all. There's a house by the sea, not grand, not special, just a small cottage with blue shutters that have faded to gray over decades of salt wind and sun. Inside, in a chair by the window where afternoon light pools like honey, sits a woman named Helen. She is 84 years old. Her hands rest on her lap, spotted with age, trembling slightly with the essential tremor that arrived uninvited 10 years ago. On those hands, draped across her knees, lies a scarf, pale blue, once vibrant, now faded. The edges are frayed, a few threads coming loose. She picks it up, runs her fingers along the fabric. The texture is familiar, worn soft by years of being folded and unfolded, touched and held. And then she is gone, not physically. Her body remains in the chair chest, rising and falling with breath, heart beating its steady elderly rhythm. But Helen, the consciousness that inhabits that body, has left 2025 entirely. She is 22 years old. It's December 1963. Snow falls outside the pavilion, where the dance is being held, fat flakes drifting past the windows, lit gold from within. Inside, the band plays saxophone and trumpet and drums, that smooth jazz sound that was everywhere back then. The room smells of perfume and cigarette smoke and the pine boughs someone draped along the walls. She wears a dress blue, the color of her scarf, and she's nervous standing near the refreshment table, holding a glass of punch she isn't drinking. Then he appears, Michael, tall, dark-haired, with that crooked smile that makes her stomach flip. He's walking toward her through the crowd, his eyes locked on hers, and she knows what he's going to say before he says it. May I have this dance? She can feel his hand extended toward her, can feel the moment of hesitation before she takes it, can feel the warmth of his palm against hers as he leads her to the dance floor. The music swells. They move together, her head barely reaching his shoulder. He smells like aftershave and winter air. His hand at her waist is gentle, respectful, but firm enough that she feels guided safe. She is completely, entirely there, not remembering living. The distinction has dissolved. Her neurons fire in the same patterns they fired 62 years ago, lighting up the same regions of her brain that lit when this actually happened. The auditory cortex hears the saxophone. The visual cortex sees the golden light and falling snow. The emotional centers flood with the exact mixture of joy and nervousness and hope she felt as a young woman falling in love. To Helen's brain, this is not a memory. This is now. Time has folded. The present has disappeared. There is only the dance, only the music, only his hand in hers, and the feeling that this moment could last forever. But then a seagull cries outside the cottage window, sharp, immediate, insistent on being heard, and Helen blinks. The pavilion dissolves. Michael fades like morning mist. She is back in her chair, 84 years old, arthritic, and alone. The scarf still rests in her hands. Her fingers still move across its surface, but now she sees them as they are wrinkled, spotted old. She exhales slowly, not quite a sigh, not quite sadness, something more complex. "Hello, my love," she whispers to the space where Michael just was, where he still is in some sense in the preserved amber of that December night. Michael is dead, has been for 7 years, buried in the cemetery 2 miles down the coastal road. But in Helen's mind, he lives, not as a ghost, not as a haunting, but as a preserved moment that she can visit whenever the right trigger, a scarf, a song, a quality of light opens the door. She lives in 2 times simultaneously: the present where her body sits aging by the sea, and the past where her younger self dances in a blue dress, falling in love for the first time with a man who will become her husband, the father of her children, her partner for 53 years. Both timelines are real to her. Both exist with equal vividness. She is the old woman watching the sea and the young woman dancing in the snow. And somehow, impossibly, she is both at once. This is what memory does. At its most powerful, it creates time travel, not of the body, but of consciousness. It pulls you out of now and deposits you fully, completely into then, not as an observer, but as a participant. You don't watch your past self, you become your past self again. Neuroscientists have studied this phenomenon. They put people in brain scanners and ask them to recall vivid memories, then watch which areas light up. The results are startling. Remembering activates nearly the same neural networks as experiencing something for the first time. The brain, it seems, doesn't always distinguish cleanly between this is happening and this happened. When Helen remembers the dance, her motor cortex activates as if she's actually moving. Her visual cortex processes the remembered images as if they're being seen. Her amygdala, the emotional center, responds as if the emotions are present tense. Her brain performs the past, stages it, enacts it, and for those moments, the past is present. We all do this, don't we? You've done it, closed your eyes, and found yourself back in a moment so vividly that you could smell it, hear it, feel it. Your childhood bedroom, your first kiss, the funeral of someone you loved, the moment you held your child for the first time. In those instants of perfect recall, where are you really? Here in your current body, in your current time, or there in the moment, being remembered both? Neither. Time and consciousness is not linear when memory opens its doors. Helen opens those doors, often now, more and more as she ages, sometimes intentionally touching the scarf, or looking at photographs, or playing the records she and Michael used to dance to. Sometimes involuntarily, triggered by stimuli, she doesn't consciously notice a shadow falling at a particular angle, a distant sound that echoes something from decades ago. The past is not behind her, it surrounds her. It interpenetrates her present. She moves through her daily life, accompanied by ghosts that are not ghosts, but memories so vivid they have weight and presence. Is this sad? Is this beautiful? Perhaps it's both. Perhaps it's the price and gift of a long life. You accumulate so many moments that they start to crowd into now, competing for space, demanding to be relived. Helen doesn't mind. When she travels back to that December night, she's young again. Her hands don't shake, her joints don't ache, and Michael is alive, smiling at her, asking her to dance. She knows it's not real, in the sense that it's not happening now, but it's real. In another sense, it happened once, and in happening, it was written permanently into the fabric of her consciousness. And that writing can be read again and again, each reading a kind of resurrection. So she sits by the window, the scarf in her hands, living in 2025 and 1963 simultaneously. A time traveler who never leaves her chair. A woman who learned the secret that memory offers the past is never truly past as long as someone remembers it. But not all time travel through memory is chosen. Not all of it is gentle nostalgia or bittersweet longing. Sometimes memory becomes a prison. Sometimes the past doesn't let you visit it, captures you. Sometimes you can't leave at all. The cafe is pleasant, quiet. Mid-afternoon light slants through the windows, illuminating dust motes that drift lazy and unconcerned. A man sits alone at a corner table, hands wrapped around a coffee cup that's gone lukewarm. His name is David. He's reading the newspaper, or trying to. His eyes move across the words, but they don't quite stick, don't quite form meaning. That's okay. He's not really reading for content. He's reading because it gives him something to focus on, something normal to do. Outside traffic moves, cars passing, the ordinary sounds of a city on a Tuesday. Then a truck backfires. The sound is sharp, percussive, loud, and David is gone. He's not in the cafe anymore. He's in Kandahar province, Afghanistan. It's 2009. The sun is brutal heat radiating off sand and stone until the air shimmers. He's in full gear, rifle in his hands, sweat soaking through his uniform. The explosion was close, too close. His ears ring. Someone is shouting his name. Davis, Davis, get down, get down. He hits the ground. Gravel tears at his palms through his gloves. Another explosion farther, but still too near. The smell of burning plastic, and something worse, something organic. His heart hammers. His breath comes in gasps. Training takes over, scan for threats. Check your sector, count your squad. But underneath the training is pure animal terror. Someone is screaming. Is it Ahmed? Is he hit? David can't see through the dust. I'm coming, he shouts, or tries to shout, but his voice sounds wrong, distant. His body knows this is the cafe. Some part of his rational mind knows he's in Seattle in 2025, sitting at a table holding a coffee cup. But that knowledge is small and far away, a whisper drowned out by the overwhelming sensory experience of being in Afghanistan in 2009. His nervous system doesn't care what year it is. It's responding to the perceived threat. Heart rate spikes to 140. Adrenaline floods his system. His pupils dilate. His muscles tense, ready to fight or flee. He is there, completely, utterly there, trapped in a moment that ended 16 years ago, but has never stopped happening in his mind. David, hey, you okay, man? A hand on his shoulder. He flinches violently, nearly knocking over the cup. Blinks. The cafe revolves around him. Tables, chairs, the barista, looking concerned from behind the counter. His friend Marcus, standing beside him, hand still on his shoulder, face worried. Yeah, David manages. His voice sounds strange to his own ears. Yeah, I'm okay. But he's not okay. His hands shake. His shirt is damp with sweat. His heart still races, taking long minutes to slow to normal rhythm. He was just in Afghanistan. He could smell it, hear it, feel it. The memory was so complete, so overwhelming, that present reality dissolved entirely. This is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. But that clinical term doesn't quite capture what David experiences. It's not just stress or disorder. It's involuntary time travel. It's being yanked out of now and thrust into then without warning, without control, without the ability to resist. The traumatic moment has achieved a kind of immortality in his nervous system. It's not a memory that he can choose to recall or not recall. It's a memory that exists in perpetual present tense, always active, always ready to overwhelm his consciousness. Why? Why does trauma do this? Because in moments of extreme stress or danger, the brain switches to emergency mode. It records everything, every sight, sound, smell, sensation with extraordinary vividness and detail. Evolution designed this. If you survive a dangerous situation, you need to remember exactly what it looked like so you can avoid it in the future. But sometimes the recording is too vivid, too complete, too emotionally intense, and instead of being stored as a normal memory that you can voluntarily access, it gets stuck in active memory. It becomes a perpetual now that never gets filed away into then. The technical term is hyperconsolidation. The memory is so strongly encoded that it can't be updated or contextualized. It remains raw, unprocessed, immediate. For David, Afghanistan isn't his past. It's a parallel present that he slips into whenever certain triggers, a loud noise, a particular smell, even just a quality of light that resembles that desert glare, activate the memory. He's tried therapy, EMDR, cognitive processing exposure therapy. They help somewhat. He has better tools now for managing the flashbacks, for grounding himself back in the present. But the fundamental experience remains. He is a man living in two timelines, one peaceful and one at war, and he can't fully escape from the second. Think about the paradox his body is, in 2025 safe, in a Seattle cafe. But his consciousness, his subjective experience, is in 2009, in Kandahar, which is real. Where is he really both? He's both places at once, and the conflict between the two realities is part of what makes PTSD so exhausting. His rational mind says, you're safe, you're in a cafe. But his limbic system, the ancient emotional brain, screams, you're in danger, you're under fire. Memory has become a trap. The past has achieved a kind of tyranny over the present. He can't choose not to remember. He can't decide to stay in now. The trauma makes that choice for him again and again. There's no easy comfort here, no simple resolution. David continues to live with this, continues to navigate between timelines, continues to work on making the present feel more solid, more real, more powerful than the past that haunts him. But he represents something important about memory and time. Not all time travel is voluntary. Sometimes the past has gravity. Sometimes it creates its own black hole in your psyche, and you fall into it repeatedly, whether you want to or not. The memory travelers we romanticize, like Helen with her dance, choose their journeys. They open the door to the past. When they wish, step through, then return. But for people like David, the door won't close. It stands perpetually open, and the past reaches through to grab them without warning. He is a time traveler who can't stop traveling, who can't stay anchored in now, and that makes him, in his way, the truest kind of time traveler, one who lives genuinely painfully in multiple temporal realities at once. Marcus sits down across from him, doesn't ask questions, just sits, present, grounded, offering the anchor of company. Thanks, David says quietly. Marcus nods. They sit in silence, in the cafe, in 2025, in the only time that actually exists. But for David, Afghanistan exists too. Will always exist. Parallel. Permanent. A second timeline running beneath the surface of every moment. In an apartment across the city, a woman lies in bed. Lights dimmed. evening settling into night. Her name is Maya, and she's preparing for a journey. She picks up her phone scrolls through her music library until she finds the song, the one she hasn't listened to in 6 months, because she was trying to move on, trying to let go, trying to live in the present without constantly visiting a past that's gone. But tonight, she needs to go back. She puts in her earbuds, presses play, closes her eyes. The first notes drift in piano, soft and melancholic, and immediately the walls of her apartment dissolve. It's snowing. February 2019. She's 25 years old, standing under a streetlight in a neighborhood she doesn't live in anymore. The snow falls in that particular quiet way it does at night, muffling sounds making the world feel smaller, more intimate. He's standing in front of her. Daniel, taller than her, wearing that gray coat he loved, snowflakes catching in his dark hair. They've been walking for hours, talking about everything and nothing, breath-forming clouds between them. He stops under the streetlight, looks down at her, smiles that half smile that always made her chest feel tight. "You're freezing," he says, and reaches out to touch her cheek with his gloved hand. She is freezing. The cold is sharp on her face, but where he touches her, there's warmth. "I don't mind," she says, and she doesn't. She would stand in this snow forever if it meant this moment doesn't end. He leans down, slowly, giving her time to pull away, but she doesn't. She never could. And he kisses her. It's not their first kiss, but it's the one she remembers most clearly. The one that contains everything: the cold air and the warm mouth, the streetlight glow, and the darkness beyond it. The absolute certainty that this is right, this person, this moment, this love. The kiss lasts seconds but feels longer. Time dilates in moments of perfect happiness, stretches like honey. And this moment is perfect. When they separate, he's smiling, she's smiling. They're both ridiculous with happiness, standing in falling snow in the middle of the night, like they're in a movie. "I love you," he says. "I love you too," she replies. And it's true. It was true. In that moment, under that streetlight, in that snow, it was the truest thing in the world. Maya lies in her bed in 2025, tears sliding from her closed eyes, the song playing in her ears, and she is there, completely there. She feels the cold, sees the snow, tastes the kiss, lives the moment again, as if it's happening now, because in some sense, it is happening now. It's always happening, preserved perfectly in her memory. They broke up 2 years later. It wasn't dramatic, no betrayal, no catastrophe. They just diverged, wanted different things, grew in different directions. The kind of ending that's somehow worse than a dramatic one, because there's no one to blame, nothing to be angry at, except the way people change, and time moves, and love sometimes isn't enough. He has a new partner now, lives in another city, has a life that doesn't include Maya, except as a pleasant memory, if he thinks of her at all. But Maya keeps this moment, guards it, returns to it when she needs to feel something real, something true, something that was perfect before complexity and time made it imperfect. Is this healthy? She's asked herself that. Her therapist has asked that. Her friends gently have suggested she's holding on too tightly to the past. But how do you let go of a moment that felt like the entire universe clicking into place? How do you release something that was perfect when so little in life achieves perfection? The song reaches its crescendo. Her memory matches it perfectly. The moment after the kiss, standing in the snow, both of them laughing now, for no reason except joy. Then the song fades, ends. Silence fills her earbuds. Maya opens her eyes. Her apartment resolves around her familiar walls, familiar ceiling, familiar loneliness. February 2019 recedes, sliding back into the past, where it belongs. But it's not truly past, is it? That kiss still exists. It happened, and in happening, it became permanent. Not in the physical world, the snow that fell has long since melted. The streetlight's bulb has probably been replaced. Daniel has moved on. But in Maya's consciousness, that moment is eternally present. She can visit it whenever she needs to. Whenever she plays the song or closes her eyes or lets herself remember. She's built a time machine out of neural pathways and emotional associations, and it works perfectly. Thank you, she whispers to the empty room, to Daniel wherever he is, to her younger self, to the moment itself, for being so perfect it could survive 6 years and a breakup and still feel real. She knows she'll move on eventually. She's already starting to. There are new possibilities, new people, new moments waiting to be made. But she doesn't want to forget this, doesn't want to let it fade completely. Because we are what we remember, aren't we? The past doesn't just shape us, it lives in us. We carry our moments forward like treasures, revisiting them, deriving meaning from them, using them to understand who we were and who we've become. Maya is a time traveler by choice. Unlike David, who can't escape his memories, Maya deliberately returns to hers. She opens the door to the past when she chooses steps through experiences the moment, again, then returns. It's bittersweet. There's grief in it, certainly the grief of knowing that perfect moment is gone in reality. But there's also joy, because it happened, because she was there, because for one snowy February night in 2019, everything was exactly right. And as long as she remembers, it's still true. The kiss is still happening somewhere in the vast landscape of consciousness and time. Two people standing under a streetlight, young and in love in a moment that will last forever, simply because someone remembers it. She pulls out her earbuds, sets her phone aside, turns off the light. Tomorrow, she'll live in tomorrow. But tonight she visited February 2019, and the journey was worth it. The nursing home is pleasant enough, clean, well lit, windows looking out on gardens where birds visit feeders and trees mark the seasons. In a room on the second floor sits an old man named Thomas. He's 76 years old, though if you asked him, he'd tell you he's 32. His daughter Sarah visits every Tuesday and Thursday. She arrives at 2 in the afternoon, checks in at the front desk, walks down the familiar hallway to his room. "Hi, Dad," she says, smiling, even though her heart already hurts because she knows what's coming. Thomas looks up from his magazine, which he's not really reading, just looking at pictures. He studies her face. There's a moment where she hopes, always hopes, that today he'll know her. "Hello?" he says politely. "Do I know you?" Sarah pulls a chair close to his. "I'm your daughter, Dad." "Sarah." He frowns, genuinely confused. "My daughter. No. My daughter is just a little girl. She's, let's see, she must be about 5 now. Learning to ride a bike. She fell yesterday and scraped her knee." He chuckles. Cried for 5 minutes, then wanted to get right back on. Sarah is 47 years old. She has gray in her hair and teenagers of her own. But to Thomas, she's still 5. The Sarah he remembers most clearly is 5. The Sarah he sees when he closes his eyes is 5. This Sarah, middle-aged, sitting in front of him, doesn't match. So, his brain, trying to make sense of the contradiction, simply rejects the information. This woman must be someone else. His daughter is 5 years old, riding a bike, living in the house they moved out of 40 years ago. What year is it, Dad? Sarah asks gently. 1971. He answers, without hesitation. Why? And what were you doing today? I just got back from the factory. Long shift. I'm tired. He looks around the room with a slight confusion. Though this isn't... Where's Mary? Mary is his wife. She died in 2015. Mom's not here right now, Sarah says, because telling him his wife is dead is cruel. He won't remember it, and he'll experience the grief fresh every time. Thomas is lost in time, not metaphorically, literally. The disease in his brain has eroded his ability to form new long-term memories and is progressively erasing existing memories from recent to distant past, like a book being burned from the back cover forward. The last pages, his childhood, his early marriage, his young fatherhood, those remain vivid. He lives there now. He experiences 1971 as his present reality. His consciousness hasn't moved forward past that point. The nursing home, the garden, the year 2025, none of this makes sense to him. It doesn't match the internal reality his brain has constructed, so he's perpetually confused, perpetually trying to reconcile what he sees with what he remembers, and failing. Alzheimer's is involuntary time travel of the cruelest kind. He's been sent back to 1971 and can't return, can't move forward. He's stuck there living the same year over and over while the world around him continues into a future he can't perceive. Sarah talks with him for an hour, tells him about her day, shows him pictures on her phone, though he doesn't understand the device. What's this contraption? He asks, delighted and bewildered by the smartphone. Sometimes, for brief moments, something crosses his face, a flicker of recognition, a shadow of knowing that something is wrong, that time isn't what it should be. But then it passes and he's back in 1971, worried about his shift at the factory tomorrow. When Sarah leaves, he waves goodbye pleasantly to the nice woman who visited. 5 minutes later, he won't remember she was there. That's the other cruelty. Not only is he stuck in the past, but even his experience of that past doesn't persist. He lives in a perpetual present that constantly resets. Imagine a goldfish in a bowl swimming around, and every lap is new because it has no memory of the previous lap. That's Thomas's experience of consciousness now. Is he suffering? It's hard to say. He doesn't seem distressed most of the time. He's living in a past that was happy young, working his wife alive, his children small. Maybe that's mercy. Maybe the disease has sent him back to before the losses, before the griefs, before the accumulation of pain that comes with a long life. But for Sarah, watching her father disappear into time, it's agony. He's alive, sitting in front of her, talking and breathing and existing. But the father, who knew her as an adult, is gone. The man who walked her down the aisle, who held his grandchildren, who lived through the last 40 years, that man has vanished into the past. Time has swallowed him, not quickly like death, slowly, progressively pulling him backward year by year, until he landed somewhere in the early 1970s and couldn't go any further. She kisses his forehead before she leaves. "I love you, Dad." "That's very kind," he says, smiling at this nice stranger. Outside his room, in the hallway, Sarah cries. Every visit, she cries, because her father is a time traveler who can never come home. Anna is walking through a grocery store she's never been to before. It's a Tuesday afternoon. She's visiting a friend in a different city, stopped in for supplies. Everything should be new, unfamiliar. But as she turns down aisle 5, something strange happens. She knows what's next. Not thinks, knows, with absolute certainty that in 3 seconds, a man in a blue shirt will walk around the corner. He'll be carrying a basket. He'll reach for the pasta on the top shelf. He'll knock over a jar of sauce. It will shatter. And it happens. Exactly. The man in blue, the pasta, the jar, the sauce spreading red across white linoleum. "I'm so sorry," the man says, flustered. Anna stands frozen, watching because she just saw the future, or remembered it, or something. She doesn't know what to call this experience. Deja vu, the feeling of, I've been here before. Everyone's felt it. That uncanny moment where present reality seems to echo something from the past, even though you know you've never experienced this exact situation. But for Anna, it's more than a vague feeling. It's specific, detailed. She doesn't just feel like this has happened. She remembers it happening, and she remembers it seconds before it occurs. It's been happening to her for years, more frequently lately. Moments where time seems to stutter, where her consciousness skips ahead, slightly sees what's coming, then snaps back to experience it again, in real time. Scientists say deja vu is a minor glitch in memory formation. Your brain processes an experience as both new information and stored memory simultaneously, creating the false sensation of recognition. A crossed wire in the temporal lobe. Nothing mystical, but that doesn't explain how Anna sometimes knows specific details that haven't happened yet. She's tested it, written down predictions. In 5 minutes, someone will spill coffee in the cafe, and they do exactly as she foresaw. The next song on shuffle will be, and she names it, and she's right even though the playlist is random. Small things, trivial things, nothing she can use or exploit. Just glimpses, fragments, like seeing a few seconds ahead in a movie. Is she psychic? She doesn't think so. It doesn't feel supernatural. It feels like her consciousness is slightly unmoored from linear time, like she experiences moments, a few seconds, out of sequence, perceives the future first, then lives through it. Or maybe this is her theory. Maybe time isn't as strictly linear as we think. Maybe it's more like a landscape. And sometimes consciousness can perceive slightly ahead of where the body is, the way you can see the next hill before you reach it. The man in the grocery store cleans up the sauce, apologizing to the staff. Anna continues shopping, but her mind is elsewhere. Where am I? She wonders. Am I in now, or 5 seconds ahead of now, or both? She doesn't have answers, just experiences. Just the strange sense that she's living slightly out of sync with everyone else. They're all in the same moment, but she's a few seconds ahead or behind, sliding along time, rather than being firmly planted in it. Sometimes it makes her feel crazy. She doesn't talk about it much. When she has people look at her, strangely suggest maybe she's just good at pattern recognition. Maybe she's imagining things after they happen and thinking she predicted them. But she knows. She knows the feeling of seeing something before it occurs. the certainty of it, the specificity. Maybe we're all time travelers in small ways. Maybe consciousness doesn't actually exist in a single point of now, but in a small range, a few seconds thick, and we experience time as a moving window rather than a moving point. Maybe Anna's window is just slightly wider than most people's, or positioned differently, so she sees a bit more of what's coming. Or maybe she's just crazy, and all of this is coincidence and confirmation bias, and the brain's tendency to find patterns even where none exist. She doesn't know, can't know, but as she stands in the grocery store, watching the man in blue walk away, she has the distinct sensation that she's done this before and will do it again. That past and future are curled up together, somehow overlapping, accessible. She is a wanderer through time's landscape, not traveling dramatically, just unstuck enough to glimpse what's around the next corner before she turns it. So, we've met the memory travelers. Helen dancing with her dead husband in memories vivid as life. David trapped in Afghanistan, no matter how many years pass. Maya visiting a perfect kiss when she needs to remember love was real. Thomas lost in 1971, unable to find his way forward. And Anna catching glimpses of moments before they arrive. All of them proving that consciousness doesn't stay firmly planted in now. It drifts backward into memory. It gets stuck in trauma. It visits perfect moments like sacred sites. It dissolves into confusion when the brain fails. It even sometimes seems to peek forward into what hasn't happened yet. Time for consciousness is not the rigid structure physics describes. It's fluid, flexible, traversable. We are all time travelers in our minds. Every memory is a journey backward. Every anticipation is a journey forward. Every moment of presence is the brief interval where consciousness agrees to stay still. But there's one more kind of traveler, the strangest kind of all, the kind that doesn't just visit different times, but creates them, where every choice splits reality and consciousness exists in the superposition of all possible moments at once. The quantum travelers are waiting, and they'll show us that time isn't something we move through, it's something we generate, moment by moment, choice by choice, observation by observation. Let's meet them now, these travelers who stand at every fork in the road, creating new timelines, with every decision living all possible lives simultaneously in the strange territory where consciousness meets quantum reality. So now we move into stranger territory, beyond physics, beyond biology, beyond even memory, into the realm where reality itself becomes uncertain, where the act of choosing doesn't just select a path, it creates one. Welcome to the quantum travelers, those who don't move through time, but generate it, who stand at the crossroads of possibility, and by deciding, bring entire timelines into existence. This will sound like science fiction, but quantum mechanics, that strange counterintuitive physics of the very small, suggests something remarkable, that reality branches, that every choice creates parallel worlds, that you are not living one life, but all possible lives simultaneously, and consciousness simply experiences one thread at a time. Let's meet someone standing at such a crossroads right now. Lisa stands at a literal fork in the path. It's early morning in the park, mist still clinging to the grass, and she's been walking for 20 minutes trying to clear her head, trying to decide. The path splits. Left leads back toward the parking lot, toward her car, toward the life she knows. Right leads deeper into the woods toward uncertainty, toward the trail she's never taken. But this isn't really about the path. This is about the choice she needs to make today. The job offer, the one that would require moving across the country, leaving behind everything familiar, her apartment, her friends, her comfortable routines, for something unknown, something that might be better or might be disaster. She stands at the fork, hands in her jacket pockets, breathing the cool morning air. In classical physics, in the world we think we inhabit, she'll make a choice. She'll turn left or right. One timeline will continue, the other will remain theoretical, a ghost of what might have been. But quantum mechanics suggests something different, something that sounds impossible, but is supported by mathematics and experiments that have never been proven wrong. It suggests that both paths become real. One version of Lisa turns left, returns to her car, goes home, calls the company, and declines the offer. Stays in her current life, safe and known. Another version of Lisa turns right, keeps walking, spends the morning in contemplation, returns home and accepts the offer, packs her life into boxes, moves across the country into a new timeline. Both happen. Both are real, not as metaphor as actual parallel realities that split off from the moment of choice. The Lisa who turned left will never know what happened in the timeline where she turned right. The Lisa who turned right will never experience the timeline where she stayed. Each version of consciousness experiences only one thread, one sequence of moments, one coherent story. But both stories are real. Both Lisas exist in parallel universes that have no contact with each other, living out the consequences of different choices. This is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. It says that every quantum event, every moment of uncertainty, every choice, every observation causes reality to branch. The universe splits into parallel versions, each one equally real, each one evolving forward from that point of divergence. Lisa doesn't know this, standing at the fork in the path. She just knows she feels the weight of the decision, the sense that this moment matters, that her life will be different depending on which way she turns. She's right, but not in the way she thinks. Her life won't just be different. Her life will be both. All possible lives she could live will be lived by versions of her. She'll never meet in universes she'll never see. She turns right, keeps walking into the woods, and somewhere in a parallel branch of reality, she can't access another. Lisa turns left. Both are her. Both are real. Both will live out their timelines, making more choices, causing more splits, generating more and more parallel versions with each decision. You are doing this too, right now, every moment, every tiny choice, whether to keep reading or stop, whether to breathe deep or shallow, whether to think this thought or that, each one a branching point. Quantum mechanics applies to particles, yes, but you are made of particles. Your neurons firing the quantum events in your brain that give rise to consciousness, all of it subject to the same rules. So in theory, there are countless versions of you, an unimaginable number of parallel yous, living in parallel universes, each one having made slightly different choices, each one experiencing a slightly different timeline. The you reading this sentence exists in one specific branch of reality, but there are versions of you who aren't reading this, who never found this story, who made different choices minutes, days, or years ago that led them to entirely different presents, all real, all happening, all generating their own futures with each new choice. This is quantum time travel of the most profound kind. You don't visit other times, you create them. Every moment of uncertainty resolves into all possible outcomes simultaneously, each one spawning a new timeline, a new universe, a new you. Marcus sits in his apartment at 50 years old, materially successful, but hollowed by a specific regret. It's late at night. He should sleep, but can't. His mind circles the same memory, the same choice, the same moment 25 years ago. The scholarship to art school. Full ride. His work had impressed them. The paintings he'd done in secret. The sketches that poured out of him like confession. They wanted him, saw potential, offered him a future as an artist. And he said no, took the business degree instead. The practical path, the one his father approved of. Built a career in finance, made good money, bought this apartment with its city view and expensive furniture. But late at night alone, he wonders about the other Marcus, the one who said yes. In the many worlds interpretation that Marcus exists, is real. Took the scholarship, moved to New York, struggled but created, lived in shabby apartments, but woke each day to paint. Marcus tries to imagine him. Alternate. Marcus probably isn't wealthy, probably worries about rent, but maybe he's happy in a way this Marcus hasn't been in years. Maybe he wakes up with purpose. Maybe his life feels like his own. This Marcus financial, Marcus successful Marcus, carries the ghost of that other life. Not a ghost really, a phantom limb, the sensation of a life he almost lived, should have lived, didn't live. Regret is a kind of quantum awareness, a sensing of parallel timelines where different choices led to different outcomes. You can't see those timelines, can't access them, but you feel them somehow. The weight of paths not taken. What if I'd chosen differently? Is not just a hypothetical question. In quantum terms, you did choose differently. You chose all the options, and versions of you are living all those choices right now in parallel branches of reality you'll never see. The you who chose differently exists, is real, is experiencing that timeline fully with all its own joys and regrets. So, when Marcus sits in his expensive apartment, feeling hollow when he mourns the artist, he might have been that artist exists. In another branch, that artist Marcus is real, living his timeline, maybe also experiencing regret, wondering what life would have been like with money and stability. Both regret their roads not taken. Neither realizes that all roads were taken, that they are both versions of the same consciousness, experiencing different forks of the quantum tree. Regret, then, is longing for a parallel universe, grief for a version of yourself you'll never meet, recognition that choice creates divergence, and divergence means loss, even as it creates all possibilities. Marcus finishes his whiskey, goes to bed. Tomorrow he'll wake up and continue this timeline, making more choices, creating more branches, generating more parallel Marcuses who will live lives he'll never know. Somewhere in a branch he can't reach. Artist. Marcus goes to sleep in a small studio apartment, paint still under his fingernails, poor but purposeful. Both are real. Both are him. Both are time travelers, moving forward through their respective timelines, each one shaped by the choices that caused the split. Elena drives to work, same route she takes every day. She's running a few minutes late, and there's a train at the crossing. She could wait for it to pass 3 minutes, maybe 4, or she could take the detour, the back route, that might be faster. She sits at the crossing engine idling, watching the train cars roll past, and then a feeling, strong, undeniable, almost a voice though, not quite. Don't get on that train tonight. She blinks. What, she's not getting on a train? She's in her car. The train is freight, not passenger. What is this thought? But the feeling persists, urgent, clear. Don't take the evening train home. Drive instead. Elena usually takes the commuter train home from work. It's easier than sitting in traffic. But now, for reasons she can't articulate, she knows she shouldn't. Not today. So she won't. She'll drive home tonight, take her car. Later that evening, she'll hear the news the evening commuter train derailed. Not catastrophically, no deaths thankfully, but injuries, delays, chaos. The exact train she would have been on. How did she know she doesn't have an answer? Coincidence probably. Luck. A subconscious observation of something that suggested risk. The rational explanations. But here's another possibility. Strange as it sounds, what if information can leak between quantum timelines? What if in countless parallel branches of reality, Elena did take that train? And in some of those branches, things went wrong. And what if consciousness somehow can access information from parallel selves in parallel timelines? What if intuition is quantum communication, your consciousness receiving whispers from the versions of you in adjacent realities, the ones who made different choices and experienced different outcomes? In timeline, Elena took the train and was in the derailment. Shaken but unhurt, frightened, traumatized by the experience. In timeline B, our timeline Elena didn't take the train because she felt the warning. Where did the warning come from? Maybe from timeline A. Maybe the Elena who experienced the crash sent information backward or sideways, or through some quantum entanglement of consciousness warning her other self. This sounds like fantasy, but quantum mechanics already tells us that particles can be entangled, that two particles can be connected, such that measuring one instantly affects the other, regardless of distance. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, and it's been experimentally verified countless times. If particles can be entangled across space, could versions of consciousness be entangled across parallel timelines? Could you receive information from your parallel selves? There's no proof, but there are experiences like Elena's, intuitions that save lives, hunches that prove correct, feelings of certainty about events that haven't happened yet. Maybe those aren't predictions. Maybe they're memories from adjacent timelines. Information bleeding through from parallel versions of you who have already lived slightly ahead or differently and are somehow, through quantum connection, sharing what they learned. Elena sits in traffic, driving home instead of taking the train, and she'll never know for certain why she made that choice. Never know if she saved herself or if it was just luck. But in her mind, she carries a strange certainty. She was warned. By whom? By what? She doesn't know. Maybe by herself. Another version in another timeline, reaching across the quantum divide to say not this way, not today. We are all of us living in one branch of an infinite tree of possibilities. But maybe the branches aren't completely isolated. Maybe information leaks between them. Maybe consciousness, that strange emergent property, can sense across parallel realities in ways we don't understand. Maybe every moment of intuition is a quantum traveler sending a message home. Alex lies in bed, drifting toward sleep, and suddenly he's aware, lucid. He's dreaming, and he knows he's dreaming. The room around him in the dream looks like his room, but isn't quite right. The walls are a different color. There's a window where there shouldn't be one, but he's here conscious and control. He stands up, dream body weightless, and decides to fly. And he does. Lifts off the ground, floats through the wall, soars above a city that's part memory, part imagination, part something else entirely. This is lucid dreaming, the state where consciousness wakes up inside the dream and realizes it's dreaming. And in that realization, you become the god of that dream world. You can change it, create it, destroy it. Anything is possible because it's your mind generating the reality. But here's a question that quantum mechanics makes interesting. Is the dream world real, not real, in the sense of persisting when you wake up, but real in the sense of being an actual experience, an actual timeline that exists while you're in it? When Alex flies over the dream city, he experiences it. His consciousness moves through a space, perceives details, makes choices, interacts with a reality. That reality is generated by his brain, yes, but it's generated by quantum processes in his neurons. And if many worlds is correct, every quantum process generates real branches of reality. So maybe dreams are tiny universes, temporary timelines that exist in quantum superposition, created by the firing of neurons experienced by consciousness, then dissolved when you wake up. Maybe every night when you dream, you create and destroy entire worlds. You are the god of your dreams, not metaphorically, but literally generating realities, making them exist through observation, then letting them collapse back into possibility when consciousness withdraws. Alex flies higher in his dream, looking down at the city below. He wonders, am I creating this or discovering it? Is this world appearing because I'm observing it, or was it always there, waiting for me to arrive? In quantum mechanics, the observer matters. The act of observation collapses quantum possibilities into definite states. Before you look, a particle exists in superposition in all possible states at once. When you look, it chooses one state. Consciousness collapses reality, makes it definite, creates timelines by observing them. Maybe that's what happens every night in dreams. You enter a quantum realm where nothing is fixed, everything is possible, and your consciousness, moving through that realm, collapses possibilities into experienced reality, moment by moment. You don't just witness your dreams, you create them, not just the content, the actual existence of the dream world itself. And when you wake, that timeline ends. That universe ceases, unless somewhere in quantum possibility space, it continues without you, a parallel dream world you've abandoned by waking. Alex descends back to the dream ground lands, gently in a street that's now a forest. The dream is unstable, shifting, because his attention is divided. He's thinking about quantum mechanics instead of fully inhabiting the dream. He decides to wake up, and does. And the dream world, whether it was real or not, is gone, dissolved, back into whatever dreams go when they end. But for those minutes, he was a traveler in a reality he created, a quantum traveler generating timelines with his consciousness, living in a space that existed because he observed it. We all do this every night, creating and destroying universes, living in timelines that exist only while we're in them. We are in dreams what quantum travelers are, in waking life creators of reality, through observation generators of timelines through consciousness. In a laboratory, a physicist sits at a computer looking at data from an experiment. She's measuring a particle. Before the measurement, quantum mechanics says the particle exists in superposition in multiple states simultaneously, in multiple positions at once. But when she looks at the data, when she observes the result, the superposition collapses. The particle is now in one specific state, one specific position. Her observation created that specificity, chose from infinite possibilities, one actual outcome. This is the measurement problem in quantum mechanics, and it's never been fully resolved. Why does observation collapse? The quantum wave function? What is it about consciousness looking at something that forces reality to become definite? Nobody knows. But the implication is staggering. We don't just observe reality, we create it. Every moment of observation, every act of measurement, every instant of consciousness, collapsing quantum possibilities into definite experiences, we are generating reality. You are not a passive witness to time. You are an active creator of it. Every moment you observe, you collapse possibilities into actuality. Every choice you make, you create timelines. Every observation you perform, you generate the specific reality you experience. The physicist looks at her data, and in looking, she has created this specific result. In other branches of reality, other versions of her have observed different results. All possible results have occurred. But she, this version of her consciousness, has now committed to this timeline, this sequence of events that will unfold from this specific observation. She is a quantum traveler, not by moving through time, but by creating it, moment by moment, observation by observation, choice by choice. And so are you. Right now, reading this, you have collapsed the quantum possibilities of this moment into this specific experience. Other versions of you in other timelines are doing other things. But this consciousness is here, now, creating this now by observing it. We are all quantum travelers, all reality generators, all gods of our own timelines, creating the universe moment by moment, simply by being conscious within it. So we've met the quantum travelers. Lisa standing at the fork, creating parallel timelines with her choice. Marcus carrying the ghost of lives, not lived, except they were lived in branches he can't see. Elena receiving warnings from parallel selves. Alex creating universes in dreams. And the physicist collapsing infinite possibilities into one actual moment. All of them proving that time is not something we move through passively. We generate it, create it, branch it, every choice a split, every observation a creation, every moment of consciousness a act of reality making. You are not just traveling through time, you are making it, writing it into existence, one choice at a time, one observation at a time, one moment at a time. And in doing so, you create not just your timeline, but infinite timelines. All the versions of you living, all the lives you could live in parallel universes that branch from every moment of possibility. But there's one more kind of traveler to meet, the most impossible kind, the ones who shouldn't exist, the strangers from futures We haven't lived yet. The visitors from timelines that haven't happened, are they real? Have they already been here? Are they here now? Let's find out. So, we arrive at the edge of the possible, beyond physics, beyond biology, beyond memory, beyond quantum mechanics, into the territory where time becomes truly strange, where the future might have already visited, where travelers from tomorrow leave footprints in yesterday. This sounds impossible, and maybe it is, but the universe has surprised us before. In the year 2000, someone appeared on an internet forum, called himself John Titor, said he was from 2036, a time traveler here on a mission, stopping briefly in the year 2000 to post warnings and explanations. He described his time machine, posted schematics, made predictions. Some came true roughly, others didn't. He spoke of civil war in America, of a different world timeline, of the mechanics of traversing time using rotating black holes and Kerr metrics. Then he vanished, completely. No trace, no explanation. The forum posts remain archived, analyzed obsessively by people trying to determine hoax or truth. Most say hoax. Of course it's hoax. Time travel is impossible. Someone was playing an elaborate game, dropping hints, creating mysteries, then disappearing before being exposed. But some look at the details, the technical knowledge, the consistency of the story, the predictions that partially aligned, and wonder, what if someone from 2036 did visit the year 2000? Not this 2000 perhaps, a parallel branch, left messages, tried to warn or inform or simply observe, then returned to their own time, their own timeline leaving only digital footprints. We'll never know. But the story persists. A ghost from the future, or a very creative liar. The line between the two impossibly thin. You remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. You're certain of it. You remember news coverage, the funeral, the grief. Except he didn't die in prison. He was released in 1990, became president of South Africa, died in 2013. But you remember differently, and so do thousands of others, millions perhaps, all sharing the same false memory of Mandela dying in the 80s. This is called the Mandela effect, collective false memory. Large groups of people remembering history differently than it occurred. The standard explanation memory is unreliable. People confuse events, misremember, reinforce each other's mistakes until false memories become shared. But here's a stranger possibility. What if timelines merged? What if you're from a parallel universe where Mandela did die in prison and somehow, through quantum fluctuation or cosmic accident, that timeline collapsed into this one? You brought your memories with you, memories that don't match this timeline's history. You're not misremembering. You're remembering correctly for a different universe. You're a refugee from another timeline, carrying evidence of a world that no longer exists, or exists only in parallel. Impossible. Yes, but quantum mechanics already tells us multiple timelines exist. And if they exist, could they interact? Could they merge? Could consciousness slip between them? Most scientists say no. But the Mandela effect persists. Thousands of people certain that reality changed, that they remember a different past, that something about history is wrong. Maybe they're all deluded, or maybe some of us are visitors from adjacent timelines, living in a world that's almost, but not quite the one we remember. So we've met the impossible travelers, the time traveler from 2036 who may have visited the year 2000, the collective memory of a different past suggesting merged timelines. and countless other stories, objects found in impossible places, prophetic dreams that came true, the feeling that something is watching from the future. Are any of them real? Probably not. Almost certainly not. But the universe is stranger than we imagine, and time we've learned is not what we thought. So now, after all these journeys, what have we learned? That time is not universal, that it bends and stretches for astronauts and divers monks and particles. That biology counts its own rhythms, aging differently in mountains and depths, in speed and stillness. That consciousness wanders through memory, living in multiple times simultaneously, creating and destroying its own moments. That every choice creates timelines. That we are not passive observers of time, but active creators of it. That reality itself may be less solid than we believed. You are a time traveler, not metaphorically, actually. Right now, you're moving through space-time at a speed that affects your clock. Your body is counting time in its own biological rhythm. Your consciousness is drifting through memories, and anticipations never quite settled in now. And with every choice, you're creating new timelines, new possibilities, new versions of yourself in parallel universes. Time is not a river carrying you forward. It's something you're made of, something you generate, something you experience in your own unique way. So, as you drift towards sleep, know this: you're already everywhere in time. In memory, you visit the past. In anticipation, you touch the future. In choice, you create parallel presence. In consciousness, you exist in all times at once. You don't need a machine to travel through time. You already are one. Rest now, traveler. Let time flow around you, through you, from you. Let yourself drift between moments, between timelines, between all the versions of yourself that exist across the vast landscape of possibility. You are time's child, time's creator, time's witness, and time in its infinite gentleness carries you home. Good night.